Hello everybody and welcome to the batch review for the 3rd anniversary units. It's a tad late, granted, but all the banners are still live, so you can pull for all these units still, so I think it's fine. I'll do the Kimetsu no Yaiba stuff separately, because we don't know what all those characters do just yet, most importantly being Giyu. He's a new limited, so we kind of need to know what he does first. But there's a lot of units to go through here anyway. This is probably going to be kind of long, but you know, we'll just take them one by one, starting from Kakashi, who I did actually pull. I did actually pull him. I did 3 multis. I was kind of hoping to get Aoi, not Kakashi. Not something to be disappointed about though, because it's a cool sprite and it's a pretty good unit. It's a pretty good unit. One thing I will say that annoys me about this, obviously he is limited on the Taiwan version, but on the JP version, this is our 3rd version of Kakashi, and none of them are limited. But we only have one version of Might Guy, and it's just his bog standard base form Might Guy, and that is a limited. A little bit conflicted about that, though I will say the animations for this Kakashi are still a little bit lackluster, even with the update they got coming from Taiwan to JP. But probably about right for a standard gacha unit. Probably they're about right. In terms of his kit, he inflicts 472% damage that ignores guard to one enemy, and for 2 turns weakens himself. So it can be seen as some positives to weakening yourself. There are situations where weakening yourself would be a good thing. But generally speaking, it's not great. Normally, I would say the situations where it might be good is if you know this unit's going to be weakened by a considerable amount more, and then you overwrite that weakening with this weaker one. But other than that, I guess the main positive to his ultimate attack is the ignore guard, high damage ignore guard. It's okay. It's okay. His passive reduces the number of turns of bubbling effectiveness for himself by 2 and boosts his ultimate attack damage by 21%. So as you can see, he is going to be hitting quite hard. 472% damage. He is balanced, so he's got pretty good attack, 2500. It's going to be some pretty good damage, and when you add on the 21% boost, bear in mind that's an unconditional boost to his ultimate attack damage. He's hitting fairly hard. He is hitting fairly hard against a green enemy with guard. He'll fare well. He'll fare well. His buddy skill though, his buddy skill creates a skill bubble in the center of the board, boosts its blast radius by 1, converts all bubbles, not including skill bubbles, to red in the column right of center, and for 2 turns recover 1k HP at the end of each turn, 60k in tower. So he's one of those. He's one of those. If you're a PvP player and you get properly involved in the meta, you'll know that he is one of those kind of buddies that a lot of people will be using. Some people refer to them as PvP cancer or something along those lines, and you wouldn't be wrong to say so. His kit makes him quite useful as a buddy in PvP. He's pretty good all round. I think the weakening himself is just a way to stop him from doing too much damage without any downside. But I would say he's not a unit that I would say has a kit I'm super happy about. I typically like them to have a bit more utility. But for PvP, very, very good. Very, very good support. Next up, Hidetora Tojo. We're just going to do these in order because otherwise I'm going to get confused. So just do them in order. Free-to-play unit, of course. Transcendent class event. Inflict 300% damage to one enemy, and if they're balanced, inflict an additional 55%. It's okay. It's nothing special. It's okay. The passive, reduce the number of turns of awakening for this unit by 2 and boost this unit's attack by 16%. All around as a front line, not awful. Not awful for a Transcendent. You got to remember he's got damage plus boosted damage to a class is okay. But he's got flat awakening reduction of 2, which we like. and an unconditional attack boost. 16%. It's okay. It's okay. He is part of the trend of this anniversary of releasing a lot of Transcendent class events. And what we currently theorize is the aim for this anniversary was to bring in a lot of new players. And I think that's really going to step up a bit when the Kimetsu no Yaiba stuff comes out. That's why all these events, even though they launched at the start of the anniversary, are still going. This event in particular, over a month. And there's a couple more over a month. And so making a unit that's relatively easy to get, because the event's not that difficult, making them usable, giving them usable abilities, bodes well. It bodes well. If you're a new player, he's not bad. He is not bad. He also has luck skills, which unfortunately are restricted. He's Transcendent class after all. When your HP is 40% or more, boost the unit's attack by 4%, normal attack damage by 5%, and then that goes to 4%, 5%, 4%. So a total of 12% attack boost and 10% normal attack damage boost when at level 99, when your HP is 40% or more. Which again, not awful. I mean, a lot of the stages you'd be using this on, you probably would be comfortably above 40% a lot of the time. So it might make clearing those stages just that little bit quicker. Not bad, not bad. The buddy skill. Down the bottom, level 12. Reduce the number of turns of poison for red team members by 1. And for 2 turns, reduce damage received for red team members by 1400. This is very much a strictly utility pick. There will be a stage that comes along where your team members are getting poisoned, and you'll say, hey, I need someone that removes poison. And he will do that. And he'll give a little bit of damage reduction as a bonus. And then that's it. There's very few situations you would use him in other than poison. It's not bad for poison, but poison's not that common. So the buddy skill, but it's okay. it exists. But I think it's a front line for a Transcendent class. Not too bad. Not too bad. His counterpart, Aoi Kunyeda, unit I wanted, if I'm honest, the unit I wanted when I summoned on this first gacha, sadly did not get her. And funnily, I think Kakashi, even though I expected him to be the more popular, I think I saw more people saying they wanted Aoi, and I also saw more people saying they didn't get Aoi, they got Kakashi, so I guess that's just a wave of bad luck. But I definitely saw like 4 or 5 people say that exact same thing, so that's a shame. I guess it kind of boils down to Beelzebub content not existing in this game until this anniversary. Like obviously the launch stuff was there, but the series was not touched since launch until now. So if you were a fan, this is a big moment. She's quite a nice unit, if you ask me. She's quite a nice unit. Inflict 453% damage that ignores damage reduction to one enemy, and if the enemy has attack up, inflict an additional 40% damage. So let's take a look back at Kakashi. 472% damage that ignores guard, compared to Aoi's 453 that ignores damage reduction. So she does do less, but she has no downside. And with the additional damage, she'll actually do more. And her attack is actually higher. So why does she need a downside? Why does Kakashi need a downside? Question. It's a good question. I don't know. Obviously that 40% is locked behind the enemy having attack up. Still, 453% is nothing to be sniffed at. So I don't really get this. I don't really get this, to be honest. But hey, you know what? Aoi's good, like I said. Boost this unit's damage reduction, ultimate attack damage by 25%, and this unit is immune to attack down. So we like that. She is a good unit, no doubt. As a front line, she is a very good unit. The buddy skill: convert a red bubble to a skill bubble, boost its blast radius by 1, randomly convert a total of 5 block red, green, and yellow bubbles to blue. For 1 turn, counterattack all normal attacks to this unit's buddy for 380% damage. She is the second unit of this kind. I think the other one is I want to say Yugo. I think it's Yugo. Yes, it is. It is. And while I haven't personally used it much, I think it is sort of like a nice sort of PvP skill. It kind of gives you like a micro version of Deku's buff or Odin's buff on their passive. Or not sorry, not on their passive, on their ultimate attack after you've used the ultimate attack, where they give themselves the counter buff. This is kind of the same thing, only for one turn. But 380% damage is going to be quite a lot, so kind of an interesting way to try and reintegrate counter with the PvP meta. Only 2 units do it so far, so I can't say I've noticed that many people using it, but that's not to say that people aren't using it. And I don't have either of them, so I can't really test it for myself. But you know, I'm sure I'll see. I'm sure I'll see in the coming weeks just how much use people are getting out of it. Next up, we have another free-to-play unit, and that is Brook. Brook, who was not actually farmable until the latter half of this event. Currently not farmable, not for another, I think, 4 days as of recording this. But you get the first one from login bonus, and then you can farm the rest from a stage that is coming in the second half. Freeze unit. 300% damage that ignores damage reduction to one enemy. For 2 turns, freeze this enemy. Freeze starts at 4k, and every turn after add an additional 9k. Now, something I'm working on at the moment, which has taken me a long time, but it's a little series of videos, mostly going to be guides and stuff on the early game. How do you do the very basic stuff? Just so that I can have videos to point to for people who are new to the game and are just looking for simple advice on certain tasks. Because some of the early stuff, it can get a little bit confusing. So I think having a video there can help people. But part of me doing that has had me playing through on a new account. And I've got to say, Brook, I haven't even had him max level because his dupes are not available yet. He has been quite a help. He has been quite a help. That freeze damage, very, very useful early on, let me tell you. Very, very useful. So if you are a beginner and you want to put a strong blue unit in your team, he could be your guy. He could be your guy. It's not like limited level damage or anything like that, but for a free-to-play unit, one they just give to you at the start of the event, respectable, I would say. Respectable. His passive reduces bubble and effectiveness turns by 2, and when your HP is 55% or more, boosts this unit's ultimate attack damage by 18%. The HP restriction, sorry, not ideal, but he still has some sort of resistance, so that's good. And his luck skills are also HP restricted. They are boosts for ultimate attack damage and normal attack damage. But all in all, it's okay. Again, it's not just a free-to-play unit. It's one that is given to you. So, he's okay. He's okay. His buddy skill, convert 9 hard bubbles to Green for 5 turns, boosted normal attack damage of blue team members by 60%. This is actually really nice. We've had a few other units to do the same thing. The yellow one, I think, is that Gintama character. Why can't I remember his name? Okita Sogo. The free-to-play version of him. And these are always good. Listen, let me tell you, if you've got one of the frontline normal attack damage boost limiteds, this is nice. This is very nice. Even when you don't actually, this is very nice. So his buddy skill is going to last him for the long term, and for the short term, his ultimate attack and passive, I think quite nice. Especially if you're a beginner, quite nice. And the big bonus with this is his ultimate attack, it doesn't rely on you getting him to level 12 in order for the freeze damage to go up. It starts at that level and it finishes at that level. And while that level is not super duper high, it's not going to be comparable to like any of the maybe more difficult to obtain freeze units. It means you can play around with the debuff a little bit yourself, which I like. Next up, we have a very special card, our Muso unit. The ultimate Invincible warrior, Super Vegito. Love the sprite. He's got a special aura in game that looks very, very nice. And I couldn't justify pulling for him. As always, with a Muso character, the price is just so high. It's so high. There are ups and downs to his banner, granted, because you get a guaranteed 5-star every 4 multis, I think it is, because you get one on the first one and every 4 multis after that. And you get a free multis interlaced with that. So you're essentially getting a free 5-star every 3 multis, or the price of every 3 multis. There are upsides, you know, especially because there are limiteds on there, a lot of limiteds, and as time goes on, the amount of good limiteds on these banners is going to go up. And yeah, there's some top tier units on there, but I still can't really justify recommending anyone pull on it, because it's 24k rubies to get a guaranteed Vegito, which during this anniversary, with the returning banners alone, you could pick up Tanjiro for 8250, you could pick up Rengoku for 8250, you could pick up Yoriichi for 8250, and granted, I think that comes out a little bit higher than the 24k for Vegito, but you'd have an incredible red team. If you got any of them earlier, obviously it'd be much better, but you could say the same for Vegito. And of course on Vegito's banner, you have a chance to pull Tanjiro and Rengoku. I don't know if Yoriichi's on there, but you have a chance to pull these units, so there's an argument to say it's worth it. And I think if you're the kind of person who's used to, say, OPTC or Dokkan, being able to pull on a banner, not necessarily having a guarantee, I mean there is a guarantee, but not necessarily considering the guarantee, and more being excited by the fact that you can summon and have a chance to pull loads of different stuff, it might be for you. But for me, I think I did a couple of multis and I was like, nah, that's it for me. That's it for me. I think it's always worth doing the first multi. 1,000 rubies for a guaranteed 5-star on a banner like this, totally worth it. As for the skills, are the skills worth it? Well, I already want to say up front, no, it's not worth it. But are the skills good? And the answer is yes. Of course, the skills are good. 535% damage to one enemy. That's a high damage. For 2 turns, boost this unit's attack by 10%. So self-buffing here. And for 2 turns, boost the normal attack damage of blue team members by 10%. Supplemented, of course, by your boy Brook with his normal attack damage boost on support. So pretty good. Just to start things off, pretty good. But the thing is, this is actually not fully representative of what his ultimate attack does, because there is an additional part to his ultimate attack that they have put in his passive for some reason. So when you... where is it? It's the bottom part. When you use the ultimate attack, at the end of the turn, up to 10 red bubbles will be shot at the enemy. Inflict 4k damage times the number of bubbles shot as fixed damage. So that 4k goes up to 40k. 40k fixed damage at the end of the turn, in addition to all of this. So, pretty big. That in turn also plays a part as bubble manipulation, because you're removing 10 red bubbles from the board. It's quite good. It's quite good. It's quite interesting. What I'm more interested by, in the files they have, I mean, we're calling this ability Pooty Shots, which is what they call it in the Japanese version. And Pooty Shots has a version for every type of bubble put into the files. So for red bubbles, sure, for Vegito, but also for blue, for green, for yellow, for heart, for block bubbles, you see. There's high potential with what they could do to mess around with this. I mean, like 10 bubbles and 4k damage is a lot, but they could tweak the damage. They could tweak the number of bubbles. Like, say if it was block bubbles, like 10 block bubbles is quite a lot. But depending on the stage, would that be good or not? That really depends. You'd also say what's good for PvP might not be good elsewhere. I'd really be interested to see how they experiment with it, especially seeing as they've decided that this ability in particular is only worthy of being added to the highest rarity of character. So only the highest rated character is worthy of that. So Who would get anything else? I don't know. But I would be very interested to see. I'd be particularly interested not just by block, but by heart bubbles. Like, you could do something really creative with heart bubbles as well. Like, what if it healed by a certain amount instead of damaged by a certain amount? Or, I don't know, maybe you could do one that's like a higher number of bubbles, but like the damage is much lower. So it could just be like a good way to clear the board. It's fascinating, fascinating stuff. He does have buddy skill seal reduction, which we like because buddy skill seal sucks. And boosts the ultimate attack of blue team members by 11%. So on passive, he will be buffing blue team members by 11% unconditionally. So a very strong character, very, very strong character. Realistically, you will be running him as frontline if you have him. Depends on the stage, of course, because there are some stages where units aren't just automatically suited for it. You need to pick and choose who you bring along. But for your general purpose blues, he will be there. And if you have him, you're probably not going to use him as a buddy. You're probably going to use him as a leader. But let's say, for the sake of argument, you have Chrono, who you can use as a support copy, and you can steal this ability. So you still need to know what the buddy skill does. Reduce the number of turns awakening for this unit's buddy by 2. Okay. Convert one random bubble to a skill bubble. Okay. And for 3 turns, boost the ultimate attack damage of all team members by 18%. And for 1 turn, prevent this unit's buddy from being weakened. So if you were using Vegito in PvP and you have Chrono, this might be an idea to use. Because if you have been weakened by, say, for example, an enemy's like Minato or something, or if an enemy has the Atobe Legend Summon or something like that, and you've been weakened, reduce it by 2. In most cases, that's going to completely get rid of the weakening. Converts a random bubble to a skill bubble, so you're still getting your skill bubble out of support. Boosts the ultimate attack damage of all team members by 18% for 3 turns. So you're getting that buff for 3 turns. And prevents this unit's buddy from being weakened for 1 turn. It's pretty good. It is pretty good. To be honest, as far as the kit goes, I really like it. And I'm really, you know, obviously they're going to make the super expensive unit really good and really desirable. I get it. But I think they've actually had some fun making his kit. You know, they made Hashirama good in terms of utility, but Vegito, maybe, even though he does definitely have utility, they've done it in a more creative way, I think. And I really do like it. Not worth 24k though. So if you pull for this, do so at your own risk. He is still about. And if you did, well, I hope you got lucky. I hope you didn't have to go all the way, because going all the way on a banner like this, it hurts. It hurts. Next up, the unit he counters, which is Majin Buu. Of course, he has that amazing aura costume that we've talked about before. Really like that aura costume. His skills: inflict 340% damage to 1 enemy, and for 2 turns, boost the ultimate attack damage of red team members by 10%. So he is going to be a very, very good choice for frontline. If you're a new player and you can beat even the early stages of Majin Buu's, I don't know what the lowest difficulty is. I think it's Transcendent or Superclass. If you can beat whatever the lowest difficulty is of Majin Buu, do it. Get yourself a level 12 copy of him. And like, even if you can't have him max luck, just having that there, oh boy, that's so good, so good. The passive guards 75% of all counter attack damage received for this unit, boosts the unit's ultimate attack damage by 16%. The unconditional ultimate attack damage boost is very, very good, especially in tandem with the frontline skill. Not the biggest fan of counter attack guard, but it's good for what it's good for. I just don't think counter attack comes up that often, and I think when it does come up, it's not normally that much of an issue. Whereas stuff like weakening, stuff like buddy skill seal are a lot more troublesome. But it's okay. It's okay. And the luck skills, sadly, HP restricted, but you know what? The unit's already so good as it is. It's fine. It's fine. When your HP is 70% or less, boost this unit's ultimate attack damage by 5%. Obviously, there's 3 of those, so that's 15%. And normal attack damage by 10%. This guy's good. This guy is good. For a free-to-play unit, this guy is good. And I suppose this is how it should be. Like, if they're releasing, like, someone like this, you know, Vegito, big boy, lots of people are going to be summoning. The unit that is being countered by him should be good, so that you want to go and get him. He's got an amazing aura costume, he's got amazing kit. This is how it should be. I hope they do this more, because there's been a lot of times where I've got a unit I really wanted, and they've been countering something somewhat disappointing. Not the case here. Not the case here. The buddy skill, convert a random bubble to a skill bubble with 110% base damage, and for 1 turn, boost the attack of balanced class team members by 10%. It's just a solid buddy skill. Very solid. I think he gets more use as a frontline 99 luck lead, but he will see use on the bench as a support. Next up, another limited. Oh wait, no, the first limit. The first limit we're talking about today, and that is Tanjiro and Nezuko Kamada. Those who watched the stream will know I had to pull for them, and I do have them now. And their kit's kind of weird. Their kit's kind of weird. Let's start off with the ultimate attack. 460% damage to one enemy. And for 2 turns, reduce the attack of one enemy by 5%. And for 3 turns, yellow bubbles have a 50% chance to spawn as rainbow bubbles, up to 5 per turn. I've always been kind of a sucker for this ability. There's a lot of characters that have done stuff like this in the past, like All Might, Roppy. There's that. I think one of the Ichigos does it. I quite like that ability, but I have found that in practice, it's normally not quite as good as something like, say, for example, Version 1 Tanjiro, where on passive he is manipulating the bubbles. Because you're not relying on your ability to burst a certain amount of bubbles to get these bubbles to spawn randomly, where, like, you know, with Tanjiro, it's just every turn. Even if you do nothing, next turn, you get those rainbow bubbles. I like that a lot more. Whereas with this, I need to burst the board to see the bonus here, to get the bonus effects. So it can be good. It can be good. The rest of the kit it's pretty good. It's okay. The passive, reduce the number of turns of weakening for this unit by 2. Boost this unit's attack by 15%. That alone is pretty good. Not limited worthy, but that alone is pretty good. Unconditional attack boost and weakening reduction. Weakening reduction is very, very good. This part has divided people a little bit. During turns 4 and 9 of the adventure, not 4 to 9, 4 and 9 of the adventure, activate double tap. This unit will get 2 actions. So get double tap on 2 separate occasions, right? Which is good. Most of the time when you use double tap, a unit will only have it for 1 turn, because the second you take any damage, that's done. So obviously you can heal back up. You can heal back up, but most of the time you won't. But you could theoretically. This is just weird to me. There might be a reason why it's 4 and 9. I think 4 is very obviously to be last slot in PvP. But I don't know what the fuck 9's for. Really, you could have even made it 4 through 9. I still think it would have made them a little bit lackluster. It's not as good as having it first turn. It's just not. But it's okay. It's okay. I think trying to be impartial here, because I love the sprite, I love the characters, and I have pulled for them. But the main use is going to be slot 4 in PvP, I would imagine. That's where I'm using them. Beyond that, I don't really get that part. I don't really see the point in it. But two actions on turn 4 of PvP is still nice to have. The buddy skill, convert a random bubble to a skill bubble with 117% base damage and boost its blast radius by 1. That's pretty good. And for 3 turns, boost the attack of special class team members by 33%. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good buddy skill. What we've come to expect from limiteds, I would say, but it's pretty good. I would say as a limited, they're not really for me. I know I pulled for them, but I pulled for them for the character. I didn't really pull for them for the kit. The kit is a little bit underwhelming for me. You could definitely have some fun with it, with the double tap on 4 and 9, with the rainbow bubble manipulation. You can have some fun with it. There's no doubt about that. I think if you like Kimetsu no Yaiba, your rubies would be much better spent on Tanjiro, even maybe Rengoku, even maybe Zenitsu. Like, just, I don't know. I can't justifiably say go spend your rubies there. I think there are better banners on during this anniversary. Next up, free-to-play unit, we have Shion. Actually, I have put the costume in here. Costume is not available on JP. Taiwan exclusive costume. Yet another costume that hasn't made the jump from Taiwan to Japan. Yet another Saint Seiya costume that hasn't made the jump from Taiwan to Japan. But nice to get Shion nonetheless. Let's talk about his kit. Inflict 308% damage to one enemy, and for 1 turn, reduce the attack of one enemy by 10%. Somewhat lackluster. Attack down is good. There's definitely situations where you would still use Shion as a front line for that attack down. You might want to auto a stage that's a little bit trickier, but it still lets you attack down, because a lot of the trickier stages have attack down immunity. But if it's a little bit trickier and they don't have attack down immunity, you might want to bring Shion along as your 99 luck lead. The passive, reduce the number of number of buddies sealed by buddy skill cell for this unit by 1. And when your HP is 8% or less before this unit's turn, convert 3 green bubbles to red. It's okay. Buddy skill cell reduction by 1 is about standard for this tier of unit. I don't dislike this bubble manipulation because it is 3 green to red. And it's only 80% or less, which is going to be fairly easy to activate. I think it's okay. Actually, for a beginner unit, it would be quite nice. If you're new to the game, it's quite nice. If you're if you're a veteran and you've got a lot of stuff in your box to work with, you probably wouldn't pick Shion that often. The luck skills, when you connect 3 or more bubbles with this unit, boost this unit's attack by 4%, and that's 3 times, so that's 12% attack boost and 10% normal attack damage boost, which is okay. The connect 3 bubbles is not that much of a downside, but again, it's forcing you into a situation where you have to pop bubbles to get that buff, and realistically, you're not going to be doing a lot of damage with this unit anyway, so it's kind of redundant. It's kind of redundant. The bubble conversion is much more useful because even when you're not trying to do lots of damage with a unit, if you're trying to get lots of attack downs off with a unit, you want more bubbles on the board that you can use. So it is what it is. I think as far as, like I said, far as the front line, not great if you have other options in your box. If you're someone who's been playing for a long time. But if you're a beginner, very good unit to snatch up. The buddy skill. For 3 turns, boost the ultimate attack damage of blue team members by 21%. For 1 turn, reduce the number of bubbles required to create a skill bubble for special class team members by 3. This is a really mediocre buddy skill for me. 21% boost for 3 turns it's okay, but it's attached to a 1 turn bubble reduction, which 1 turn bubble reductions are really, you're only really getting benefit of these when you're trying to get rid of a bubble extension. You know, if you're trying to actually, you know, reduce bubbles and make the most of it, you want it to last a few turns. 1 turn, the most you're getting out of this is if you put it in your front row and then you get to use 3 units that have 3 less bubbles to create a skill bubble, and then that's it. But not without its upsides, but not great for me. The buddy skill is a bit of a downside. Really, as far as a unit goes, he might be the weakest one we've mentioned so far. But the front line, I think, at least makes up for it. If you're, like I said, if you haven't got a lot of options in your box, having an attack down unit can be good. Moving on to Doko. My boy, sadly, reduced from limited to standard gacha. Though to be fair, Kakashi also reduced from limited to standard gacha. Tsunade was also reduced from limited to standard gacha. So while it does seem like a trend for Saint Seiya, it's not just Saint Seiya. It's just mostly Saint Seiya. As far as Doko as a unit goes, I quite like Doko. I still am considering in the back of my head whether I would pull for him if the opportunity arises, like if I get lucky with other gacha that I'm intending to pull on. But I'm checking now on my phone. His gacha does end on the 28th, so that's not going to be possible because I need to summon on the 28th for the Kimetsu no Yaiba characters. So sadly, I will be missing out on Doko, which is a damn shame. But, you know, it is what it is. As far as a unit goes, inflicts 425% damage to one enemy for 2 turns, boosts the ultimate attack damage of yellow team members by 15%. Very nice buffer, standard gacha buffer. We like this. He is a good unit. Just for that alone. Just for that alone, he is pretty damn good. Before this unit's turn, convert 1 block to yellow and boost this unit's attack by 20%. Unconditional attack boost is nice. Block to yellow, while I'm personally not a big fan of the fact that there's no restrictions on it, it's okay, it's better than nothing. Would have preferred maybe a resistance or something, but he has a maybe a slightly broader use by having bubble manipulation rather than a resistance there. And his buddy skill. Burst 4 green bubbles, and for 2 turns, reduce the appearance rate of green bubbles to 0. 3 turns, boost the ultimate attack damage of yellow team members by 20%. Reduce to 0 can be useful. There's definitely some stages where that's useful. He also bursts 4, which gets rid of some of the ones that are on the board, so that's good. And the ultimate attack damage boost is okay. 20% for 3 turns is okay. I think I'd probably use this more for the bubble manipulation than anything else, but it's okay. It's an okay buddy skill. I think as far as the unit goes, he's probably better on the front line. That's my opinion anyway. Next up, Shadowy Desires for the End, Obito Uchiha. Reduced from Catastrophe down to Transcendent. Although I should mention Shion, reduced from Genkai Battle down to... I mean, I don't even know what you call it. We call it a limited time event, like a story quest event, a points event, whatever you want to call it. Obito losing a very cool costume, which is a bit sad. But it is what it is. As far as the unit goes, we're not expecting too much because he is a Transcendent class event, not too difficult. Inflict 305% damage to one enemy, and if the enemy has auto heal, inflict an additional 35% damage. For 3 turns, weaken all enemies by 18%. This is interesting because the additional damage to auto heal is like very by the by. Auto heal is not that common, so it is what it is. And even if the enemy does have auto heal, it's only 35% extra damage. He doesn't do that much damage to begin with, so the damage is not important. Just ignore the damage. 3 turns, weaken all enemies by 18% on a Transcendent class event is very, very good. It's very, very good. Passive, reduce the number of turns of bubbling effectiveness for this unit by 2. That's good. Unconditional attack boost. That's good. The luck skills are HP restricted, but again, they're only boosting attack and normal attack damage. And really, are you going to be using him to do damage? No. You're going to use him as a 99 luck lead to inflict weakening, and that's that. So, in that regard, that doesn't really matter. The end of his passive doesn't really matter. So he's okay. Again, if you're new to the game, you can't beat some of the harder stages. You can snap up Obito easy peasy. Have a unit that can inflict 3 turns of weakening at 99 luck. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The buddy skill to go with that. Reduced damage reduction. Wait, what? Reduced damage received for green team members for 3 turns by 400. It's okay. For 3 turns, boost the attack of green team members by 20%, and for 3 turns, boost the attack of balanced class team members by 18%. So it's one of these multiple buffs abilities. And I think for a Transcendent class, it's okay because you're getting 2 buffs here, totaling 38% if you have green balanced units. and they will also get 400 damage reduction. Again, not groundbreaking, but for a Transcendent class unit, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Next up, Julius Nova Chrono, the Magic Emperor from Black Clover. A character I think a few people were saying could potentially be the Muso tier unit for Black Clover. It seems he's not, but I wouldn't count Black Clover out of getting a Muso at some point, considering the our new director, our new head of Jumputi Heroes, seems to very much be a fan of Black Clover. Specifically stated that he was the reason Yuno was added during the Christmas event, and since then we have had a new Yami, we have had a new Julius, or Julius being added for perhaps in the future, could be on the cards. And I would say, bear in mind, no Black Clover Feature Festival or anything of the sort has been announced for the rest of the roadmap up until the 3.5 anniversary. So just bear that in mind. If you are a Black Clover fan, you've got a developer that likes Black Clover, and that same developer has also not made a Black Clover event. So some of these events in between, very possible we could see a Black Clover character popping up here and there. Julius has an ability which we talked about last time. It was on Luvis before, and it creates a skill bubble at the start of next turn when you get off the ultimate attack with this character. Obviously, it's a little bit stronger, not in terms of base damage. The base damage is the same, but it's a little bit stronger in the sense that it is attached to a character that has much better abilities. 470% damage to one enemy, plus that skill bubble creation thing, plus 2 turns ultimate attack damage boost, 15%. It's a fun mechanic for sure. There's a lot of upsides to it, especially because it's the start of next turn. I said this before. If you're fighting against an enemy that's going to fuck up your bubbles like every turn, or even if it's not every turn, but if they have an ability at some point that's going to fuck up your bubbles, they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want to your bubbles. Next turn, you start with a skill bubble. That is awesome. That is an awesome ability. Admittedly, it's weak, but who cares? Because at bare minimum, it lets you do a little burst and clear some stuff off the board. And there are definitely scenarios where that could be used to your advantage. Plus, that little skill bubble, all you got to do is pop that, and you'll get another one next turn. And then you pop that, and you get another one again next turn. It's an infinite loop. You do not have to try with Julius to try and set up a skill bubble. There's going to be one there. If you've made one once, there'll be one there next time. The passive, reduce the number of turns of bubbling effectiveness for this unit by 2. That's good. Boost this unit's ultimate attack damage by 70%. Really nice. Unconditional. Really, really nice. And during turns 1 to 4 of the adventure, reduce the number of bubbles required to create a skill bubble for this unit by 2. I quite like this. I don't think it's like super top tier ability, but I think it is quite a fun one to play with. You can put him in any slime PvP and this will be active, so that's kind of nice. And for the first 4 turns, if you're using it in a normal stage, it's only going to take 5 bubbles to make a skill bubble, and he's already kind of making his own skill bubbles. And bear in mind, say you've got like a few green bubbles here and there on the board, or a few rainbows or whatever, and he creates a skill bubble there, he might link those together, and that'll let you make 2 skill bubbles with him. Or set you up with another skill bubble for next time, and then you can set up a burst later. Like, I think as far as units they've released, he's probably got one of the more fun kits to work with from this anniversary. I think Vegito's is probably the most interesting to me. I think Julius is it's a nice little kit. It's a nice little kit. Ironically, out of all of these characters, Tanjiro and Vegito and all this, the ones I think that have the nicest kits, that are not ridiculous like Vegito, Doko and Julius, haven't done a single pull on either of their banners. Or I might have done like the 25, but I haven't done any multis on either of their banners. But I have pulled on fucking everything else. So, you know, Maybe I should pull for Julius. I don't know. He'll still be about. So if things go well in the Kimetsu no Yaiba event, maybe, maybe. Next up, we have Licked, Mage, Cloaked in Hatred. It's a little bit weird to me how sometimes it's Licked, sometimes it's Patry. Black Clover fans have pointed out to me that there is a distinct difference as to how the characters refer to themselves and whatnot. But I struggle to keep up with this stuff. I just know that he is called Licked here. He is called Patry on the Black Clover wiki. But sort of both characters, so it's fine. It's fine. He has a nice costume. I really like this one. And as far as the unit goes, 270% damage to all enemies, and for one turn, boost the ultimate attack damage to yellow team members by 11%. Again, he is another one. If you're a beginner, you want this boy. You want this boy. He is an AoE unit. 270% damage to all enemies. That's great. And he is an ultimate attack damage booster. So pretty good, pretty good. I think Majin Buu's a little bit better because it's a 2-turn boost and his damage is like AoE is not going to be as useful, but there are times when AoE is useful, and when it is useful, you'll be very happy to have Licked here. His passive reduced bomb damage received for this unit by 2500. Good. Bombs are not that common, if I'm honest, but it's okay. When your HP is 50% or more, boost this unit's ultimate attack damage by 16%. Not a big fan of that. He's not going to be a super high damager anyway, but I guess because he is AoE, they kind of didn't want to make his damage too high, and so they've put that behind a HP gate, which is a shame. Bomb damage reduction, like I said, okay, not that common bombs, so it's whatever. Passive's just kind of whatever. The luck skills, again, HP gated. It's like, what, 4, 4, and 3% ultimate attack damage boost, so that's 11%, and then 10% normal attack damage boost. It's okay. I think he's much better for his ultimate attack than anything else. Passive, his luck skills are just kind of whatever. His buddy skill, convert 5 blue bubbles to yellow, reduce the number of turns of bubbling effectiveness for red and yellow team members by 1, and for 3 turns boost the attack of red and yellow team members by 16%. It's okay. I mean, whenever you're gonna need this, like the bubbling effectiveness reduction, whenever you're in a situation where you need this, it's always nice that they tack on some bubble conversion. So I like that. The attack boost is just a nice little bonus. I think all in all, he's okay. I think the main thing is you'll want, again, if you're a beginner, you'll want him for this ultimate attack. I think that would be a very useful unit to pick up. Other than that, I don't know. But yeah, they've kind of, if I'm honest, they've kind of covered a lot of bases here with free-to-play units, if you're a beginner. Like, Brook and Shion are both very capable blue units. Hidatora Tojo is a pretty decent red unit. But, like, you could definitely, say you picked up, like, one of these as a 99 luck for each color. Majin Buu, Licked, Obito, and Brook is going to cover a lot of bases. It is going to do quite a lot for you. But that's the end of part 1. But we'll mention part 2 because we're here. Takumi Aldini, who is not out yet. He's not out. Wait, no, he is out. He is out. Tommy Rod is not out yet. Takumi Aldini, recover 3300 HP and for 2 turns counter attack all normal attacks to all team members for 107% damage. It's okay. It's okay. I wasn't particularly a big fan of Norman's kit being healer plus counter. Not a big fan of Aldini's either. But it's you know, free to play healer. Not technically a healer. He's a balanced class unit, but he does heal. He does counter, so there is some use there. The passive skill, reduce freeze damage received for this unit by 2300. Freeze is becoming more common, so that's quite handy. And boost this unit's attack by 17% unconditional. It's not bad, considering the 17% is going to cover your normal attacks and your counter attacks. It's okay. And his luck skills boost ultimate attack damage by 2%, which, as far as I know, they kind of had to make that for yellow team members because Aldini doesn't do any ultimate attack damage. So, good on them. He's given passive boost to yellow units and damage reduction to yellow units. And that's actually really nice because You can use him as your 99 luck lead. He can give you a bit of heal. He can counter attack some stuff. But he's also providing some passive bonuses. We like that. We like that. The buddy skill, for 3 turns, boosts the ultimate attack damage of yellow team members by 21%. For 1 turn, reduce the number of bubbles required to create a skill bubble special class team members by 3. As I mentioned before, with bubble reduction, when it's only for 1 turn, it really feels like it's just there to negate bubble extension. You know, I just don't really care about this buddy skill at all. Ultimate attack and passive and luck skills, I think, make him fairly usable. I wouldn't say good. I think there's better options as yellow units. If you're a beginner, if you don't have, say, like Nishino, hey, pick up Aldini, a little free-to-play healer. Let's go. Rindo, obviously a standard gacha unit in this part 2. I really like her sprite and I really like her animations in game. Recover 4,150% HP, not percent, sorry, just 4,150 HP. For 2 turns, boost this unit's attack by 5%, and for 2 turns, counter attack all normal attacks to all team members for 154% damage. Not too dissimilar to Aldini's kit, but obviously green, the percentages are different and giving a self-attack boost. Again, not a big fan of this kit, not a big fan, but she's a healer, so again, not technically a healer, but she has a healing ability, the same as Aldini, so not completely useless in any situation. And guard 85% of all counter attack damage received for this unit. Really not a fan of that, but again, counter guard has to exist, so sure. And boost this unit's attack by 24%, which is okay. Her buddy skill, convert a random bubble to a skill bubble, convert 1 red and heart bubble to green, and for 2 turns boost the ultimate attack damage of green team members by 27%. I think this is probably her major selling point. It's a nice buddy skill. It's nice. I'm not a big fan of her kit other than that, but her buddy skill is nice. Sunny. Now this is, as I said before, they're trying some things, and I like it when they try some things. I like Sunny being added. I'm quite a big Toriko fan, so that's good to see. And the kit is at least interesting. Inflict 488% damage to 1 enemy based on this unit's recovery. Negate 1 weakening from this unit, and for 2 turns boost this unit's recovery by 20%. But this is very, very strong. You've got to remember they've kind of made a sort of little ecosystem for the abilities, where each ability has 2 upsides. So say for example, if you have a unit that does damage based on attack, their attack stat will also influence their normal attack damage. So they will do more normal attack damage, but they will also do damage based on attack. Then the flip side, you have units that do damage based on HP. If they do damage based on HP and they are attacked, that means they're going to have more HP. So you have the benefit of having higher max HP, more HP to work with, more survivability. And then you've got the recovery damage. And the recovery damage also has the added bonus of meaning that when you pop bubbles with hearts with this unit, you're going to be healing more. The downsides each of them have are attack down has more support, but it has more counters. More units that will inflict attack down and such. Recovery, not that many units inflict recovery down, though they do exist, of course. But not that much support for recovery either. The support does exist, but it's a lot rarer. And HP doesn't really have support. I don't think there's any units that have an ability that boosts HP, like as like a buddy skill or anything like that. It doesn't really exist. But there is technically one stage where your max HP can be debuffed. They don't use it outside of that stage, but it could come back at any point. You never know. But I like the attempt at trying to make a recovery meta work. I'm interested to see if we go anywhere interesting with it. Probably not, but they might do. They might do. The passive skill reduced bomb damage received for this unit by 5,700. Again, bomb's not that common, but that is a nice reduction. Fun fact, this does in fact make him counter Midoriya's stage that came out last year. So if you haven't beaten that, Sunny will actually be pretty good for that stage. And he boosts his own recovery by 25%, obviously boosting recovery instead of attack because he does damage based on recovery. But that boost to recovery will also boost the amount of HP you recover when you pop hearts. So very, very nice. And the buddy skill, convert a random bubble to a skill ball with 140% base damage. Convert 3 random bubbles to rainbow and reduce the number of turns of bubble ineffectiveness for red and blue team members by 2. Very solid ability. Very, very solid. You've got a strong skill bubble, you've got a little bit of bubble control, 3 random rainbows, and you've also got an additional effect of reducing bubble ineffectiveness. I think he is a very, very solid standard gacha unit. And he's probably one I would really like to add to my team. But sadly, I have decided to tread the path of the Kimetsu no Yaiba man, and as such, I will need to summon on them first. But he is countering the Tomirod stage. Tomirod, a Transcendent class event. Very nice free-to-play unit again. Again. They inflict 103% of this unit's max HP as damage to one enemy. He is a tank, so he has pretty good HP for a free-to-play unit. And for 2 turns, boost this unit's ultimate attack damage. Oh no, not this unit. Red team members' ultimate attack damage by 5%. Very, very solid. I really do like his ultimate attack. Again, for a Transcendent class event, not that hard to obtain. Pretty good abilities. I've definitely seen some Transcendent class events, not looking at anyone in particular, Sasagawa Ryohei, where they've said, you know what, this event's not that hard, let's make the character suck. But this one's not too bad. It's not too bad. His passive boosts this unit's ultimate attack damage by 12%, unconditional, very nice. And when your HP is 70% or less, before this unit's turn, convert 1 block to red. That part I don't really care about that much, but it's a nice little addition in the end to what is already a very nice unit. And then the luck skills boost this unit's ultimate attack damage by 2%, and that's 3 times, so that's 6%. And reduce damage received for this unit by 500, that's 2 times, so that's 1000. Very nice. Very, very nice frontline for such an easy to obtain free-to-play unit. His buddy skill, remove blind from red team members, and for 2 turns weaken all enemies by 19%. Blind is not a common ability. Blind is the one where they black out the entire board. Now, it does occur in a few places. You will see it every time Battle Rush returns. And there are certain stages where they still do it. It's not common. But obviously, I think any unit that removes it just flat removes it. They don't reduce it by a certain amount of turns or anything like that. And the weaken all enemies by 19% is okay. I think it's an okay buddy skill. I'm more interested in Tomirod for his front line. And look, as far as the batch goes, this anniversary's done us quite well. A lot of the free-to-play units have some very much usable qualities. Most of the standard gacha units are really decent. And the same with the limiteds and the Muso. There's a couple of letdowns there, there's no doubt about that. But let's move on to the Legend Summons. Starting off with the Kimetsu no Yaiba Legend Summon, the Dance of the Fire God. For 2 turns, boost the attack of DPS and Balance class team members by 32%. And for 2 turns, boost the ultimate attack damage of all team members by 16%. And for 2 turns, recover 3600 HP at the end of each turn. So a total of 7.2k HP recovered. And then, assuming your team is all attack or DPS. Oh, attack. No. Assuming your team is all balanced or DPS. And... well, no, that's it. Because that second boost is unconditional. So assuming your team is all balanced and DPS, they will get an attack boost of 32% and an ultimate attack boost of 16%, as well as 7.2k heal. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not going to be one I use that often, but when the opportunity does arise, when I do notice I have a team that can fully benefit from this, I'll probably give it a go. I'll probably give it a go. I think the problem is so many of these have a very specific purpose, and you're just not going to bring another Legend Summon along unless they fit that specific purpose. But it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. And then the crossover Legend Summon. The greatest dreams are the ones you say out loud. For 2 turns, boost the attack, ultimate attack damage, and recovery of blue and green team members by 20%. So you see that's covering all the bases in terms of damage outputs. And for 2 turns, reduce the attack of all enemies by 10%. And for 1 turn, boost the appearance rate of blue and green bubbles by a large amount. That's going to be a really solid Legend Summon. I haven't had the opportunity to use it, but the large amount boost for blue and green, admittedly it's only for 1 turn, but if you do that just before you're about to burst or whatever, then you're going to see some benefit from that. Sad that it's only for 1 turn. I wish it was for 2, but that's fine. Because you're also getting attack down for all enemies, which is good. And you're getting a boost to attack, ultimate attack damage, and recovery for 2 different types. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. How long was that? Oh, pretty much an hour on the dot. Let's go. I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'm going to get to editing and rendering this behemoth. But I'm sure I'll see you all again very soon. I'm definitely going to stream for the Kimetsu no Yaiba stuff, which is coming next week. So look forward to that, because we're definitely going to be doing some summons. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.